Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack at the Irish Hotspur. Unfortunately, David is taking that very needed night off with the missus, doing maybe the good work, as you might say. And I am going to be joined by the very loved Philip tonight. We're just going to be talking about that 2-1 win over the Villains, kind of vibing out with some player ratings as well. I want you in the player ratings tonight because I need that involvement from the Harris Army. But, Philip, how you keeping tonight? Are you kind of, have a bit more of a strut in your step, maybe a bit more of a smile after tonight, that long needed win?
Oh yeah, I mean, after the last three Sundays, this is like manna from heaven tonight. Always in
There
a
you
good
go.
mood when Spurs win, especially on a Sunday night. With Monday
There you go.
morning beckoning, you have a spring in your step on Monday morning.
It kind of goes both ways, Philip, I would say, especially as a Catholic boy myself, kind of on the Lord's Day, you kind of need that win because if it is a loss, you probably commit too many sins. But let's maybe welcome in the Harris Army here. We do have the regular in the building. He's saying massive win before the international break. Come on, you Spurs. Big up the regular. We do have Dylan Thomas also in the building here. Zanuska, really, really good to see you, Zanuska. She says, glad to see we got the win. Sorry for missing the watch along. I was a volunteer first aider at the London Marathon today. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Zanuska, I've said it before. You've been a saint to us, and clearly you're also a saint outside of Spurs. So big yourself up, Zanuska. Also, let's see. Let me know how it all went. Really do appreciate as well the volunteering work that you're doing. And everybody else out there that has joined us for the watch along and also this show. Really do appreciate you. A user saying, sick of the international break. Just when you take a step forward, you go two steps back. It is kind of that way. It is kind of that way. But at the same time, it is the best kind of vibe, the best kind of momentum to go into this, in my opinion. Jay Grenham in the building saying this could be a defining game in our season. Let's go. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Really appreciate you, Jay Grenham. And Paro Miguel Escobedo, the legend himself, saying hi to Zanuska. Hope you're keeping well as well. They're saying hi to each other, maybe members of the Flat Cap Army, of course. This is a very good name. It's a Nkosi Umoja, very, very cool name. Come on, you Spurs. Big up yourself. And also he's saying, come on, the Irish. Yep. Unfortunately, we do have one less Irishman for this one, but I am kind of Irish by the way of Ellis Island long time ago. But we do have Philip maybe to make up for that gap in the Irishness maybe tonight. And as well, we do have Thomas James Smith. And also Thomas James Smith, hope you're keeping well. And Kuva929 saying, big up Jack and Philip. Come on, you Spurs, Harris Army. And good evening to all you smiley yiddos. I would say it's a bit embarrassing how much I celebrate sometimes for some of the goals, considering, I probably have quite low expectations. But I hope everybody's also just feeling the vibes. Hopefully everybody's just absolutely riding off the win. But maybe Philip, I'm so used to saying David at this rate.
It's all right.
Philip, do you feel like, maybe just a couple of questions before we bounce into maybe the post-match react or the player ratings here. Do you feel like, was this a well-deserved win? Was this a win that, you kind of feel like was maybe the right type of performance that you've been looking for?
Yeah, well, I mean, the last three Sundays have been fairly dismal. And we were expecting a reaction today. Now, we were playing a team that we've beaten 11 times in the last 13 matches. So, the omens were good. Now, I have to say, though, the first 10 minutes or so, I was getting a wee bit worried. The Villa started, fairly much on the front foot. And I thought, here we go again. But just as from about the 15th minute on, we got our foothold in the game. We started controlling the game. And it was... it wasn't comfortable by any means, but it was a good, solid performance. The team showed a lot of commitment, a lot of effort, as if they knew, that there was something was expected of them today. And I have to say that the crowd was excellent. We were worried, a little bit concerned that the crowd might turn on the players. They certainly didn't. They played their part today. Big time.
I think you actually mentioned that in the, I kind of had a bit of a slow morning this morning, I will admit, Philip, but I was, as I was kind of recuperating myself this morning, I was listening to your pre-match pump up with David, and maybe touch on that again. I mean, it felt like, you were kind of saying, this could have gone either way with the crowd, with the atmosphere. And it seems like from the beginning, maybe with the way the players were playing, they were trying to maybe do the fans right.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what prompted me to say that on the pump up. I saw a tweet from, I'll use the word Spurs fan generously in this respect. But the tweet was, haven't seen Spurs since they lost to Wolves in March 20. Looking forward to see them getting beaten by the Villa today. Now, and that guy was going to the match. Now, that's not
that's a bad sign.
That's not the type of mentality you want from a Spurs fan. And that's why I was a bit concerned today. If things had gone wrong, the crowd could have turned very toxic
Right.
and possibly affected the performance on the pitch, because the crowd does influence the way things are going. If you have a crowd on your back, you're more chances are you're going to make a mistake, pass
Right.
the ball to the wrong player. When the crowd's on your side and bouncing like they were today, you're more inclined to make that little bit extra effort. And I thought the crowd were absolutely excellent today. And, hats off to them for what they've done. It could have so easily gone the other way, but thank God it didn't.
Yeah, thank God it didn't. And to be honest, I felt like it was a win that we all needed. It was kind of just, a bit of therapy for David and I. It was a bit of, kind of just relief, to see maybe us being able to play a bit of that attacking football. And maybe another question here, and maybe I can kind of, give my own answer to it before I let you answer it, Philip. But, it seemed like we actually did go for a bit of a tactical change in this one. It seemed like it was to a degree a bit more like the 4-2-3-1, that maybe we were kind of touching on in the watch long. It's kind of
Yeah.
something that's kind of in our roots, you might say, especially from the Pochettino era. Do you feel like maybe that's what you saw today? Was it kind of a bit of a, Højbjerg and Skippy sitting back a bit more, maybe Højbjerg bombing up, when maybe it's safe? And do you just feel like there was actually maybe some sort of adjustment made by Nuno today, or is it kind of just, just a good
Well,
performance by the
there,
players?
there was an adjustment made in so much that Skippy and Højbjerg were the with
Right.
the linchpins in the midfield. And okay, and Ndombele started. I actually would have picked Lo Celso, and I said that last night. But anyway, that's it. But at least those two boys kept the door shut on the defense. I mean, they kept the Villa attack, which is, let's face it, Danny Ings makes a habit of scoring against Spurs. And with very few exceptions, he didn't really get a lot of look in today. He had one chance, I think, that he didn't take. So I think there was a tweak from the Arsenal game. There had to be a tweak from the Arsenal game, because if we played the same system as the Arsenal game, we would have lost today and we'll probably be looking for a new manager tonight.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. And then maybe another, okay, speaking of Danny Ings, Philip, I like that you brought him up because, speaking to Alex, Alex Davies, I was speaking to Danny Kiriakou, and they were saying actually that Romero was maybe somebody that was sparking something in the defense tonight. He was actually barking orders at, the likes of Dyer, other players on the pitch, and, maybe kind of, setting the tone, you might say, defensively. And I kind of, maybe lack of a better term, I almost felt like Romero just had, Danny Ings almost kind of walking around on a leash, felt like he just didn't let him go wherever he wanted. And Danny Ings has very intelligent movement, very intelligent work rate, but just seemed like, he couldn't get a sniff at times, because Romero was all over him.
Danny Ings came up against a real centre-back today.
Yeah.
A centre-back that's used to taming the centre-forwards and the forwards in the Serie A.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I absolutely think Romero is going to be an absolute, I use the word legend, maybe not sparingly, but he's got the ability, he's got the reputation. And once he beds himself in, gets a bit more familiar with his surroundings, I think he is 50% of our centre-back partnership for the next 3 or 4 seasons.
I really
The other
love
one
that.
is a little bit debatable. Again, I was quite surprised to see Eric Dyer in the side today. But that being
Yeah.
said, you cannot fault him. He wasn't brilliant, but he certainly wasn't poor. He had a solid game. A couple of occasions, maybe he could have, closed things down a bit quicker. But
Right.
the one thing about Eric Dyer, he plays for the club. He loves the club. And maybe the fans just don't love him as much as maybe he loves them.
That's actually perfectly put. I feel like with Eric Dyer, poor guy, honestly, when you put it in that terms, honestly.
Yeah.
But maybe final question here, Philip. It ended up being 2-1. Do you feel like it should have been more, either for Villa, for
Oh,
Spurs? Do you feel like we could have won it by a bit more?
I was so hopeful that Harry Kane would break his league duck today.
Mm-hmm.
He had a couple of, I mean, that free kick that he took that almost caught Martinez off his line. If that had gone in, that's goal of the season straight away. No matter what Mo Salah did later on, that was goal
Yeah.
of the season. He was within 2 feet of beating him.
Yeah.
And that would have been superb. Then he was through it again in the second half. He missed a couple of chances. He's not just sparking yet, but like he's getting there. And there is someday, and it's going to be soon, some defense is going to rue the day they played Harry Kane. Hopefully it's Newcastle in a couple of weeks. And I hope I don't have to keep on saying this, but there is going to come a day soon where he is going to get back to the Harry Kane that we really love and admire. Like he was
Yeah.
good today, but he just did not get his goal.
No, he didn't. But I think what you touched on before in our preview, I think is a great way to put it. And it's that comment where if we did leave out Harry Kane, what defense, would say, oh, I'm a bit worried they left out Harry Kane. There's no team in the world that would probably ever say that. Every team would probably be celebrating if Harry Kane was left out of the lineup. But as well, though, he is still due a goal. He's, some people, again, I heard from Alex Davies and Danny Kiriaki, they were saying his body language still wasn't very great. Might touch on that later in terms of his player rating. But I would say, I completely agree, Philip. Light work here before we get into the player ratings, saying Pierre Højbjerg Busquets this season finished sixth or seventh. Maybe he's just saying maybe Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is maybe our new kind of Sergio Busquets. I would probably say I think he's almost kind of a bit of a different player, but if he's able to be anywhere close to the legendary status that Sergio Busquets has at FC Barcelona, I would say Højbjerg is, trying his hardest certainly to have that sort of reputation here. To a degree, they're almost different players. Sergio Busquets, is one of the classiest, players on the ball, probably in human history. And at the same time, though, you could say to a degree that Højbjerg is just, maybe the best Viking to ever become a footballer, in my opinion. But really big yourself up, light work. And hopefully, I think we'll finish hopefully above sixth place. I think, I really want to be higher than that. But if we do end up being six, I wouldn't be too disappointed because at the same time, it's almost back and forth. It's quite volatile, in terms of, our predictions of how the season will finish out. Well, let's break it down, these player ratings, Philip. We are going to be doing player ratings that Philip and I gave each other, kind of spoke about through text, and, we'll debate now. But I want to see your player ratings, please, Harris Army, in the comments. I'll highlight as many of them as I can. If you feel like it, please drop a super chat if you want us to, stop at any moment to discuss your player rating or even your thoughts on the game. It's just going to be, kind of a shortish show to a degree. We're just going to be talking about maybe how the game went by using these player ratings as maybe a bit of a basis for it. So as we probably always do, we do start with the goalkeeper. And I mean, this one, he didn't really have actually very much to do. But the reason why I gave him a 7, Philip, is in the case of Hugo, I thought he was a real leader tonight. I thought he was, doing maybe more of those captainship kind of, or just, maybe those captaincy kind of roles or abilities that we were seeing. He was telling the players to calm down lots of times. He was giving them barking orders, when to maybe push things, when to maybe be a bit more aggressive, and also when to relax. And as well, though, he did have one very, I think, smart save. I forget who it was from. It might have been from John McGinn or someone who was in the box. Might have been Danny Ings, actually, where he actually read the ball quite well and, was able to, catch it with two hands and didn't need to parry it or anything. Thought that was actually quite impressive, if you ask me. But obviously didn't have too much to do tonight. But he would say with all the long throw-ins and all the weird set piece kind of styles that Aston Villa were going for tonight, Philip, to a degree, actually, that Hugo Lloris I think he deserves more than, that usual 6 that we give him, don't you think?
Yeah, that does. Yeah. Like, I mean, Villa were using Matty Cash's long throws to, some good effect. And there was a good bit of marshalling of the defence to be done by Hugo to cope with those. And he did that fairly well. He was more of a captain when he didn't have the ball this time. He was, he was dictating who did what, and, calming players down, as you said, and directing where to go and what to do. So, he'll have busier games and score less. But to be the captain of a winning ship or winning team today, he certainly deserves the 7.
I really do think he deserves the 7. Everybody, do let us know. I mean, are we kind of a bit crazy maybe going that high with it? Did he really have that much to do? Let us know. I think Hugo, I think the 7 is plenty fair to him. We almost give him too many 6s at this rate, considering maybe the veteran that he is for this side. So I'm going to give him the 7. And then, Kuva99 there, maybe confirming that for us, saying I can't argue with the 6 or 7 for Hugo. Yeah, and I think Hugo, again, he showed maybe those captainship abilities or those captaincy abilities that maybe to a degree a lot of us have been doubting. Even me, myself, have kind of done it before, thinking, is he really one that, tells the players, how to go about things? He seems like he has a lot to say after the games. Does he have a lot to say during the games has been kind of the question. I think we actually saw that, today and tonight. But Christian Romero is who we're moving on next to. And maybe I kind of brought up how I feel about it. Philip's gone for a higher rating here, which I think is plenty well deserved. It's just, maybe that moment that led to the goal for Villa, was a bit of, Was it really a lapse of concentration? I don't think so. I think it was just the only tackle that he missed the entire night when he tried to, do that pretty harsh tackle in the middle of the park. And, they did concede from there, or we did concede from there. But I just thought he absolutely kept Danny Ings, just like I said, on a leash, kept him in his pocket, just let him, it didn't really let him do anything really the whole match. Probably even Danny Ings was the only one that maybe had any sort of sniff at goal. I don't think Ollie Watkins really did anything too spectacular, and he's a tough guy to handle as well. I mean, what are your thoughts on Cuti Romero? Are we starting to see maybe that, that maybe 55 million center back?
Yeah, I think out of all our signings this season, this guy could prove to be the most crucial. I mean, he came through as better. He was voted the best centre back in the Serie A last season. I mean, look at some of the players he was up against. The likes of Lukaku and Ronaldo up to a point. So I mean, he is going to be our rock for the next, whatever length his contract is, 4 or 5 seasons, and get the right partner in beside him, and you watch this Spurs defense become as mean can be. We get the proper back four there. This guy is going to be the leader of the pack. And I have absolutely no doubt that we have made an absolute brilliant signing in Cesar Romero.
It's been kind of a bit of a relief to see him come back, Philip. I mean, we're all a bit worried, that, with how little we were seeing him, potentially had to do with that kind of weird injury he was carrying, probably from the Copa America as well. He obviously had that huge fiasco being going on in Brazil from his last international break. Thankfully, this time it's going to be a bit smoother. They got kind of a special kind of agreement, diplomatic agreement, you might even say, in this case for the Argentinians. So I am quite relieved that, maybe he can still build on this form even after the international break. But, another thing about Romero is just, there's almost that, weird kind of sick urge that you might say, Philip, that he gets from, defending the way that, at one point when he was able to, he puts his arms behind his back every time, but still like almost puffs his chest out as he takes a, 100-mile-an-hour shot, straight to the gut as well. And like I said, it's almost like the ball must have deflated because he seemed to not be phased, by that moment when he took on a shot straight. It wasn't even to the chest. I think it was, straight to the abdomens. And, to be honest, Philip, I just feel like he's just a Hercules. He's just, one of those players that, that's where that 55 million price tag comes from. He's just a no nonsense, incredible defender that almost gets a sick urge, you might say, from maybe putting in harsh tackles and just getting stuck in.
He's our Virgil van Dijk in the making. That's the way, that's how highly I'd rate him.
Wow. There you go.
Danny Ings is probably saying, thanks be to God, I don't have to face that guy every week.
Probably. And, it's probably the most that Danny Ings has really probably the hardest match he's had in a long time. You actually might say he's always been able to cause lots of trouble. He never stops running. He never stops moving. He never stops pressing. He's a really hard worker. You could say the same thing with Ollie Watkins as well. But I just thought, Romero was just absolutely immense. And I would just say again, everybody, don't even try to touch the abdomens because you probably might break your hand, because again, the guy just looks absolutely incredible, absolutely immense. And Chris saying, just watch the highlights. Romero is a beast at center back. Yeah, maybe another thing I would say to Chris here is maybe Philip can touch on this. It seemed like even when there was those long throw-ins from Cash, or even those set pieces as well, or the corners, he was the guy that every single time was the one that was wanting to win it, wanting to clear it. And even as well, when he clears it, he really does clear it. It's never a poor clearance. It was never, something where he mishit it. It's almost like he just thunders it out of the stadium, or out of his own box, you might say. I just thought, the guy, he really does seem to have that real, just urge and that real, how do you put it? I mean, it's just that awareness to, always have to clear his lines.
I pointed out in the pre-match there that I thought it was vital that we coped with Villa's set pieces today. Throw-ins and corners especially. And I think Nuno...
Could we have done it without Romero, do you think?
Well, no, I think Nuno went up to Romero and says, listen, boy, I'm depending on you to marshal, along with Hugo, to marshal the defence when these things come in. And he did it to the nth degree today. He did not give them a chance to benefit from what they normally do benefit from. And there'll not be many clubs this season that will keep Villa out from set pieces. They're very good at them, but we were just better than them today. And it's because Romero was the man that took on the responsibility and did it superbly.
There you go. And maybe like Old Soul 53 has put here, Rocky Romero, Rocky Kuti Romero. I mean, that's what I might take that from you, Old Soul. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I probably, he's just waiting for that. He's, kind of waging for war, you might say. It felt like a lot of these players, they were all, practically prepared for war. But unless anybody else disagrees with any of these, these ratings with Romero, I'd probably say maybe he deserves more of a 9. But probably just kind of taking into consideration potentially, that moment where, he to a degree kind of maybe exposed the defense. But at the same time, we're probably going to now touch on the next defender for who I thought maybe was more at fault for the goal here. And that was Eric Dyer. For me, I gave him a much better rating than you did, Philip. I'll let you explain quickly. And I think a lot of the Harris Army will agree, but I gave him an 8 just because he did marshal Watkins quite well. He wasn't as robust and as powerful and as brilliant as Romero was. But why did you give him a 7 maybe instead of that 9 that you gave Romero?
Again, probably on poor old Eric, probably on reputation as much as anything, the way he's been criticized over the last few weeks. No, I just felt possibly on the goal, he could have cut out that cross. He just was a little bit slow. Like Watkins got in behind him.
It actually looked like he could have cleared it, Philip. It actually looked like it was a bit of, was it as similar to the Patrick Bamford moment where he was just absolute statue, just letting the ball go across him? Maybe not that harsh, but it gave me a bit of those kind of moments or that flashback.
It was one of Eric Dyer has an Eric Dyer moment at least once every match. And sometimes we get away with it. Today we didn't. He just didn't react quickly enough to that cross, I don't think. Now, maybe I'm being harsh on him. I've actually only seen it twice, I think. So I'm being maybe a little bit harsh. But again, what his score is less than Romero's because you could not give him as much as Romero because Romero was the dominant partner today. Now, it certainly wasn't Eric Dyer's worst game for Spurs. He's had a lot worse. And, I don't think he's the long-term partner for Romero, though. I think that's going to come from either Rodon or Sanchez. But Nuno seems to fancy him, and keeps him in the team. And we don't know what goes on in training. Eric Dyer could be absolutely killing it in training, and that's why he's in the team.
So could he potentially be more of a leadership kind of, influence in, the back line that potentially is needed at the moment? And then later down the line, it could be someone like Sanchez, maybe Moon Boots to a degree isn't the best defender by any means, in the squad, but potentially has just a bit more, I don't know, just mental strength or fortitude that I can't believe I'm saying this, but, maybe that's what Nuno's seeing in him. He can actually depend on him at least as sort of a leader in the back line.
Look, Eric Dyer is a very intelligent It's a very intelligent guy. I'll tell you what he's like. He's not one of these footballers that goes home and plays FIFA or whatever games you play on the computer for the rest of the day. He's a thoughtful, intelligent sort of. Now, I'm not saying people do that aren't intelligent, but I'm just saying that he's like a Patrick Bamford. Patrick Bamford has got a reputation for being really intelligent boy, reads the Financial Times, stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying Eric Dyer does that, but he's a lead. He's got that leadership about him. Now, I'll go back to the Norwich match in the cup when he jumped into the crowd and attacked the guy for saying something to his brother. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Okay, he was completely out of order, but that showed the fight that's in the guy. He wasn't going to let this guy away with slandering his brother.
No.
So, I would regard Eric Dyer as probably a squad player who will play his fair share of games, but he would not be my choice as first choice centre back.
Purely if you had to pick between Rodon and Sanchez, maybe who would you go for at the moment?
I am a Joe Rodon fan. Joe Rodon has really done very little. Okay, he might have made the odd little cock up, but he performed very well for Wales in the European Championships. He certainly did not do anything wrong there. He's a proven international. He needs a chance. Show him, get him into the side with Rodon for a few matches. See how he does. I don't think he'll be disappointed.
There you go, everybody.
He's a good guy.
I think, and also in the case of Joe Rodon, it's just Philip. Like in times when we've been playing our worst, it just seems like he's the guy that somehow can be our best, or at least be a bit more dependable than the rest of these players. And
He's
Sorry,
not been
just
there long enough to get corrupted by whatever's been going on. Like, I mean, there has been something going on in the dressing room.
right.
Who is to blame for it? Who knows? We might never know. We all have our suspicions who it is, but we don't know if it's true. Rodon is a young lad. He's coming in from Swansea. He's got his dream move to Tottenham. He's going to be focused on being a success. He's not going to listen to the crap that's going on for some of the players that have been there for the last 50 years, or it seems like 50 years.
Seems like
So, no.
Simona here, or yeah, I believe it's probably Simona, saying Rodon is the long-term solution. Definitely probably
Yeah,
agreeing
well,
with you here.
I hope he is. I mean, I'm not dissing Sanchez. Sanchez is a decent player as well. And I think if we had the three of them as our centre backs, we wouldn't go far wrong. But I just think Joe Rodon the fact that he's homegrown as well is a bit of an addition, And
Yeah.
he's a good player. Sanchez is good. Dyer's a good squad player.
There you go. And I mean, I think many of the Harris Army would probably agree with you there. Guguma here with the super sticker, and it is just the classic, very good thumbs up. Appreciate you, Guguma, though. Also, I think you were there for the watch along today. Really appreciate you sticking there through it. It's honestly, a bit of the heart rate was there, the whole time, Guguma. I really do appreciate you sticking with David and Marcelo and I, especially when we conceded. I could see that, she was still, believing that Sonny could produce. And there it was, she called it before, the rest of us. And also anybody, if you do want to follow in Guguma's suit and send in a super chat to get your thoughts in, either to also maybe even break up the discussion at any point. So Philip and I can talk about anything that you're thinking about after this match. Please feel free to do so. But as well, I will continue to try to highlight the comments as best I can. But I feel like, we probably touched on Moon Boots. A lot of people, I think, do agree with you. I think it was a bit of a 7, probably from him. I might find a bit of a middle ground and say a 7.5. I think to a degree, I feel like he still had to do a lot tonight. Did make that pretty big mistake, I would say. And, he's probably quite lucky that Sonny was able to, take the game by the scruff of the neck and, take the game on to a degree on his back or on his shoulders. But I would say maybe if Eric Dyer, hopefully he can take away, that kind of tendency to have Eric Dyer moments. But to a degree, maybe Philip was saying it is almost in his nature. So, hopefully we can just find maybe a bit of a solution or a bit of damage control, you might say, for Moon Boots. But at the same time, I think he deserved plenty of praise. And the reason I gave him an 8, though, Philip, maybe just to say quickly, and you don't have to say anything about this, but a lot of people are saying that we should have given him a bit more respect, after this performance. And, sometimes I know I have my very, very, very intense bias on this guy. So I wanted to maybe incorporate maybe what others were kind of thinking about Dyer in this performance.
That's fair comment. Fair comment. I mean, he hasn't let us down today. Apart from that one little mistake, we won the match playing centre back against two of the, I won't say deadliest strikers, but two of the trickiest strikers there are, Ings and Watkins.
There you go. There you go.
It's not to be laughed at.
And everybody that is now joining us, just as a by the way, David is doing, the right kind of work. He's taking a night off with the missus. He's a very, very busy man. Does a lot for me, for this channel, for everyone. And I think he just needs a bit of, time with, away, to just recuperate himself. He's probably just, absolutely just, shouted maybe too many times, and so he just has to do maybe the bit of the right work, just hang out, enjoy maybe the life at home. And I think David absolutely deserves it. So it is going to be me and Philip marshalling this player ratings tonight. And David will probably give his thoughts on maybe some of these player ratings tomorrow for sure during the fan show. And also as well, everybody, please grab your memberships. So for the fan show as well, please grab your memberships, because as David and I said, earlier in the watch along, we really like to go as long as we can, as long as, there are members that still want to come on. So we probably might even go a bit earlier, like we did last time, might go at 9 instead of 9:30, or might go, So if you do enjoy the fan show, if you do want to come on and have your say and tell us what you thought about the match, please grab that membership so we can include you. We try to go as long as we can. Last time, I think we went a whole 4 hours, 5 hours practically. It was a marathon. So that's just further testament to say we will wait there for you, and we will continue to be there for you guys. And we will give you all the time that you need in order to get your thoughts across. And as well, it's kind of a bit of a soapbox for you. It's not really for David and I. We already talked too much as it is, about Spurs and whatnot, especially myself. And so it is kind of a time for me to learn from you guys as well, you know, in the Harris Army and in the Flat Cap Army. So please feel free to grab those memberships if you want to join us for the fan show tomorrow night. I know that plenty of the comedians will be there, like Chris and whatnot. So everybody do big yourself up. And then Chris says we'll be on, Jack, depending on what time I finish work. But Chris, like I said, you know, I'm pretty sure by the time you finish work, maybe tomorrow night, we'll still have, you know, time for you. We can always make time for you, especially Chris. So there you go. Just someone else that you always know you would like to see on the fan show. Chris, hopefully you can join us as always. But we have moved on now to the fullbacks, Philip. We've both gone for 8 with Reguilón, and Reguilón, I would have maybe given him a bit of a higher one if he made. It's hard to say whether he faded out of the game, right? But I think he's actually improving his defensive skills. You know, I feel like, you know, people have kind of exposed him in the past for, you know, not really being the most sound defensively, getting a bit caught out. But potentially in this match, you might say that he just had a bit more protection, had a bit more kind of, I wouldn't say like kind of solidarity around him in terms of understanding that he is the guy that bombs forward. He is the creative wing back for us. And I thought he actually had an immense game to a degree. Just it felt like he started off actually quite well, because I don't know how many megs he had today. It really was almost too many at this rate. I think he'll probably finish the season with the most megs, if I recall. I think he actually had his, to a degree, some of his best stuff out there. We only gave him an 8 because I don't think he actually did maybe as well as probably the other fullback we might be talking about. You know, what do you feel like is an 8, you know, right for him? I feel like it's almost kind of bit maybe a bit underrated almost, this rating. Of course, we're very generous to people on this channel, but I mean, what do you think of Reguilón's performance?
Well, can I just say before I give my opinion on Reguilón, I'd say David's looking at a crafty sneak at his phone when he's out with the missus. I'd say he probably did someone who hasn't come on with a comment or two already, you know.
I'll maybe look for it. But there you are.
No, Reguilón, yeah, I mean, he wasn't exposed today. He wasn't hung out to dry, having no cover. The guy is a you don't get to play for Real Madrid unless you're a good player. So you know, regardless how bad they are at the moment, he was there in their good days. No, good solid player. Again, he will be like we could have. If we could buy a right back with the letter, we could have a back four with all beginning with the letter R. Romero, Roland, Reguilón. Oh, we need someone.
Royale.
Royale, we have, yes, we got it.
We already had it. We were so close. We were too close.
We have the 4 R's. If we call him Emerson, you know, we have the 4 R's across the back. Now, Reguilón is, you know, he's had a few dodgy performances this season, but then again, who hasn't? You think about it. You know, I mean, no player can look back at the last 3 Sundays with any great degree of pride and say, well, I did well. So, like, dues to him for getting out of the trenches and back into the battlefield today and doing what he's paid to do.
Right.
Defend, attack, and not concede.
There you go.
I can't say more than that. So an 8 is a relatively, you know, it could have gone half a point higher, but he deserves an 8.
Do you feel like maybe just in terms of the season in general, do you feel like, you know, because last season we were kind of questioning, you know, his defensive, you know, ability, and do you feel like he's kind of improving on that, you know, this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think he is. I mean, he's obviously, the defensive coaches are obviously working on these guys. Okay, maybe it hasn't shown up too much up to today, you know, especially the last few matches we've had. But yeah, he is improving. I mean, as I keep saying, it's only a matter of time before the players buy into or don't. Some players won't buy into it, in Nuno's ideas. And I think Reguilón is one of the ones that is listening. And the players that listen are the ones who are going to see featuring in the next period, a lot of matches. The players that aren't listening, and I'm gonna name and shame here, and that includes Dele Alli, who I had great hopes for at the start of this season,
right?
And who is now, in my opinion, he has blown his chance. I don't think Dele Alli is only going to be used as a substitute from now on, if that even, you know, because I don't think he's one that's listening. I think Dele Alli's ego is getting in the way of being liking to be told what to do. Reguilón is not like that. Reguilón is eager to learn. He is learning, and we've got a damn good left back on our hands there.
Yeah, and maybe in the case of Reguilón, I would even argue that while we do kind of rely on him to produce going forward, I feel like this season he's just, in my opinion, I mean, of course I could back it up with stats, but I'm going to try to use maybe more of a seeing eye test. I just feel like he's been more of a nuisance, you know, to, you know, whatever assignment that he has, whether it's been Ismail Assar, whether it's been, Joao Cancelo and Riyad Mahrez this season. He's actually marshaled them quite well and actually been able to a degree, kind of impress, I think a lot of Spurs fans, because we probably would, look at a lot of those, maybe fixtures and thinking, oh, Reguilon could get exposed in these matches. And again, I feel like, he handled it quite well. Of course, you have Matty Cash on his side for this match, and Matty Cash had, I do believe, some of the most shot creating actions or some of the most chances created out of the entire Aston Villa squad this season. It's not to say that, this probably was one of Reguilon's easier assignments, you might say, but just continues to, not really have as many howlers, you might say, defensively. Of course, I think he still holds the trophy. Speaking of Aston Villa, he holds the trophy for practically the best own goal of my entire lifetime that I've ever seen. I don't think he could ever repeat that finish ever again. I actually, as much as, when I look back on it, like even a few days ago, I did get a good chuckle out of it because I was just thinking that is a spectacular finish. But it's just, again, it's almost irrepeatable. But I would just say with Reguilon, I hope he continues, improving his defensive ability, and then just, continue doing the good work that he is offensively, because going forward, he's just been practically one of our best creative outlets, and the stats would be there to back that up as well. But Reggie, Para Miguel Escobardo, who I definitely trust in this sense, has gone for the 8. So do let me know, everybody, if there's, maybe something else that you might, say in terms of Reguilon this season. I feel like we kind of well covered it here. But Gaguma may be finishing it off for us and saying Reguilon was solid for us today. I really do think he was. I think he just is putting in professional performances now and giving more consistent performances, you might say, because he really would sometimes kind of fall off at times during games or just have this huge lapse of concentration. There's probably one where he didn't track the ball very well and, kind of got turned a bit inside out. But again, we're only focusing on one little moment there. But he was able to, I think it was Eric Dyer or someone that was able to clean it up for him. So there it is. And I do think Reguilon at the end of the night did have a fantastic performance. But moving on to the next player here, it is going to be the Emerson Royale in this scenario. And I thought he was immense today, Philip. I thought he was immense. Like the guy, I didn't know he was that pacey, because, there were times when he was going up against Wilfried Zaha. And of course, that was his first match of the entire Premier League. And people were kind of criticizing him for how he, defended Zaha. I actually thought he did quite all right, especially for his first match of the Premier League. And then as well, he's actually a lot faster, a lot pacier than people maybe give him credit for. I mean, the way he was able to track every single pinged in pass, from John McGinn, Douglas Luiz, Matty Cash, some of the center backs as well. Just felt like the guy has very good defensive skills and maybe just has to improve a bit of that skill going forward. But it seems like he's actually very, very solid defender. Maybe I wouldn't say the opposite of Reguilon, Philip, but do you feel like, this guy is actually, he is maybe has the real makings of a solid Premier League fullback?
Yeah, he has. Funny again. I thought today like Tanganga might feature, and I don't know. Was Tanganga injured? I don't know. I didn't hear his name mentioned at all today. Now, whatever. Because I thought Tanganga might feature, but he didn't.
I think he actually picked up an injury maybe before the match or something like that.
I thought he would have been in the back playing in the team today, but obviously Emerson came in and did a very good job. I mean, as you said, his first game was against Wilfried Zaha. It was a tricky, if you could pick 3 players you didn't want to play against in your first game, Zaha would be one of them. Because he is strong, he's pacey, and he's a narky player. He gets in your face. Romero, he actually nearly scored today as well. I mean, that was a good save. I think it was the goalkeeper got in the way of his shot in the second half there.
There you go.
So, I've given him an 8.5. Possibly an 8 might be more fair, but
probably.
I'm trying to G the guy up. Welcome to Spurs. You've done very well. Keep it up. And hopefully you get a 9 the next time,
I think so. And I'm probably being very generous as I am, kind of just maybe a bit, caught off guard by, also the brilliant haircut and the lineup and, his, the beautiful white teeth as well. He's just a good looking footballer as well. But I would say actually probably to a degree, he's probably a bit unlucky not to come away with an assist. Even Philip, you mentioned that chance where he had that shot on goal, but there was a moment when he, put a ball into the box to Harry Kane, and, Harry Kane, easily could have just, put a foot out, at least sacrificed his body a little bit to put it away. Also, there were moments when Emerson absolutely took on his man and brought it into the box and put in decent balls as well. I just thought, he didn't necessarily put too much of a foot wrong tonight. And bearing that in mind, that's why I kind of gave him such a high rating. But of course, this is probably his first solid performance. And we can't get too ahead of ourselves as per usual.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's face it, he's only at the club 5 minutes. It'll take him time to bed in. And
There you go.
like that, that's what we want, you know.
There you are. I think, and maybe the reason I gave him such a high rating, to be honest, is a lot of people seem to call him as maybe their kind of second man of the match. If it wasn't Sonny, they actually said they were going to give it to Royale. Probably I might go Højbjerg, maybe after Sonny, but I think, it's not a bad shout. I do think if we were to speak about the whole defense, maybe tonight, probably I would say maybe Romero, one of the best. And then also Royale also, I don't think put a foot wrong either, but that is the whole defense, everybody. So hopefully you were satisfied, with those ratings. I do like everybody though, giving their own as well. And please, 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 like I said, grab those memberships for the fan show so you can let David or I know what you think of maybe, certain players' performance tomorrow night. Would really appreciate you guys joining us for that. We move on to Skippy though now. In Skippy's case, he's a midfield destroyer. He's very, 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 he's only started 4 Premier League matches before this match. And, the 2 most embarrassing defeats to Chelsea and to the Scum did come without Skippy starting in the lineup. He just seems to be even more crucial to getting any sort of 3 points than we ever could have realized. And maybe this match proved it, Philip.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were all crying out for Oliver Skipp to be back in the team today. I mean, I think if he hadn't, if as I said, if he started with the midfield 3 that started against Arsenal, then we wouldn't be having this happy chat tonight. Yeah, no, Oliver Skipp, he's a player. He got booked again today, and I thought very unfairly. Like, he's got 2 bookings this season, and neither of them were bookings. Perfectly timed tackles where he gets the ball. Okay, maybe this contact with the player after the ball is gone. But to me, that in the good old days, you never got booked for that. Nowadays, referees just, automatically produce the yellow card when a tackle is made like that. But Skipp is a destroyer. Like, he hunts in packs with Højbjerg. I mean, I don't know how could you? If he was an animal, he'd be a wolf.
Maybe he would be kind of the younger wolf, like the son, son of the mother, and the mother is Højbjerg.
Yeah, that's the 2 of them prowling around, but nothing gets past him. He is, as I said, he is a future full international for England. He's already rave reviews for the under-21s, and he is, in years to come, he's going to be the captain of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
There you go.
Because I rate him that highly. I think he's one of our own, as they keep saying about Harry Kane, but Oliver Skipp is one of our own, big time. He's been with the club since he was nearly an embryo, and now look at him,
And Philip, this was, I think, a good point by Kev G, maybe touching us back down to reality a bit. Skippy's on 4 yellows. That means very, very soon he could pick up, a match suspension, with accumulating too many. I actually feel like he's quite unlucky with some of the yellows he's received. And you probably mentioned that earlier.
Yeah,
I think there's another match as well when he got a very unfair one. As much as I agree that I am worried, when he has that match suspension, I do think about it as well, though. Like, the guy's a bit unlucky with some of the yellows. And as well, I might say to Kev G, it's finally great to see somebody competing with Højbjerg in terms of accumulating the yellows. Now Højbjerg doesn't have to feel like he has to do all the dirty work anymore. Now Skippy can do something for him.
They're probably having a competition to see who gets the most yellows. Probably have a bet on. But like, he's been unlucky with 2 of them. 2 of them are probably deserved, but 2 of them certainly not. I mean, let's say he's going to have to be selective when he gets his next yellow card, because we have a match against that crowd from the bubble blowers coming up shortly. Certainly don't want to miss him for that. So it's only a matter of time before he serves his 1-match ban. But let's just hope it's against a match that we maybe don't need him as much. We need him in the next 2 matches. Okay, we're going to have him against Newcastle. I think it's West Ham after that. We don't want them missing against West Ham.
Yeah, so he does have to be maybe a better boy or a good boy maybe for the next few matches. But again, I feel like he only deserves 2. I think he should only be on 2 at the moment. I really do think so.
Let Højbjerg get booked in the next match. Just pass it on to him,
Yeah, and I think Kev G, I think it's a fantastic comment, because we do have to consider that. And, Philip, thankfully, did his research as per usual. And so we do desperately need him for that West Ham match. And I just, especially that hard man midfield that West Ham have and the way that they attack, as well. I would just say we certainly do need it. We certainly do need him. And again, with Skippy, I think he's only going to get better from here. He's only going to, become more of a, a better influence in the attack. We see how great he is defensively. He also had that fantastic clearance at one point where there was a bicycle kick, clearance that, was just unbelievable. I think it was Ollie Watkins or Danny Ings. I'm not too sure. But they looked absolutely startled that he could even clear it in that scenario and the way that he did. So the guy does get stuck in for a living, in my opinion, as well as I would probably say in the case of Skippy, to touch on that brilliant comment from Philip. I feel like with Skippy, he's just trying to impress Højbjerg, Philip. He's just trying to, sit at the Vikings tables, I would say, just kind of say, look what I did today. I sat him down, I got the yellow, another yellow for me. Look how many more I have than you. And Højbjerg saying, yeah. But, I think he's just, like you said, he's trying to impress Højbjerg, trying to fit in the squad.
Yeah. What a pair, though. What a pair. We're so lucky to have them.
Absolutely. And like you said, he's been with us practically since he was an embryo. Moving on to the Højbjerg, to the Viking himself. We both gave him 9s. And let's maybe touch on Gaguma's super chat here. And again, everybody, if you want us to stop at any moment here, the chat is flying. It is only me at the moment, and David, like I said, to anybody that is joining us, is taking that very needed night off with the missus, doing the good work, as I said. And as well, it's very hard to keep up at times with the chat. I'm trying my best here, especially appreciate you guys sending in all your player ratings at the moment. It's really great to see as well. You're probably, exposing how nice I can be to this squad, which is probably my biggest fault. And I really do like to see more or less what the Flat Cap Army and the Harris Army has to say, because I know they're a bit wiser, a bit more, cooler headed about it than I am. So certainly do appreciate everybody giving their player ratings in the comments. And Gaguma here is saying Skip was Iron Man all over the pitch. I mean, he's built like Iron Man. I mean, let's just go back, and I do apologize, Gaguma. I do have to take away your super chat here, but I really appreciate this comment, just because even, for the image that we have of Skippy, you can see the muscles even just pulsing from the right arm there. You really can. I mean, the guy he's certainly not the best looking player in the squad, but absolutely looks like he's built like an Iron Man. He really does look like he's built like an Iron Man. He almost has, a metal jaw, as you can even see in that photo as well. So the guy is like I said, he's built like a Viking, and he wants to just be sitting at, Højbjerg's table as much as he can. But moving on.
He certainly doesn't go to the same hairdressers as Dele Alli, anyway, that's for sure.
He certainly doesn't. Doesn't need to. It probably goes to the same gym as maybe Højbjerg and, some of the more bulky players of the Premier League. You might say the big strong men. But in the case of Højbjerg, the guy is just immense at times. He really is he's a leader. He's an influence in the side. He also took his goal really well today, just cushioned it and just tucked it away. Like I said, he tucked it away like, he does, his children at night, under the blankets in the crib. It just was so beautifully put into the bottom corner. And I just feel like Højbjerg, this was the goal that was so long needed. He only scores so many for us, but I was delighted to see him. He's the man that I wear on my back for a reason. He's practically my favorite player in the squad. As much as I am a Tanguy apologist, it really is Højbjerg that is my favorite. And there's a reason behind that. And I think it's just, he's so underrated sometimes in the squad. Maybe he's now rated, probably. You could probably say, he's plenty rated by most Spurs fans, but there's so much that Højbjerg does that I feel like goes unnoticed. He has some of the most creating action, some of the most chances created in our squad. Now has that goal that's long been needed. He's now able to push a bit farther forward than maybe previously from last season. And it's just what I like to see with Højbjerg. I mean, what did you think of the man tonight?
I mean, what can be said about them that hasn't already been said about this guy? I mean, he's the epitome of, I don't know what, Norway or Danish Vikingness. I mean, he's come in last season, and I mean, I've lost count of the number of matches this guy has played. I'd say if you went back to January the 1st this year and tossed up the matches he's played for Spurs and for Denmark, he's probably played more matches than anybody else in the Premiership.
And
he's a machine. He's a machine.
He's a machine, and I continue, Philip. But this guy, Carlos H, and I think he's right. He's kind of doing more of the, the calm, cool-headed kind of player ratings where you only give somebody above an 8, for a very good reason. And of course, I'm very generous with that, especially when it comes to my own squad. But he says, he's breaking his own rules, and he says Højbjerg deserves that 9.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that goal he scored today, you put that shot in against any goalkeeper in the Premiership and they wouldn't have saved it. It was so perfectly placed. It was unstoppable. I mean, and that's coming from a guy who's not really known for his goal scoring. Okay, he knocks in an odd one, but it was the sort of finish we got so used to Harry Kane and Son doing. He passed the ball into the net. It's reminiscent of my old hero and the late great Jimmy Greaves. Used to do that regularly. Jimmy Greaves shots sometimes would barely hit the back of the net, but to be so well placed, the goalie wouldn't get there. There wasn't much power in them. He just placed them. And that goal today was a brilliant move. And the way he found space on the edge of the area, it was sublime. And he thoroughly deserved goal. And I mean, it was like something, if Harry Kane had done it, they'd be raving about it. They should be raving about what he did today.
They certainly should. Kev G, I think, is bringing up the interview from Højbjerg, and I love Kev G that he spotted this as well. He said on Spurs TV, maybe it's a Danish kind of thing, to be very modest, but he said, that the performance was acceptable, and it just, I think, says he's just somebody that wants to do the fans right. He believes in continuing with this kind of performance. I think he is a captain in every right, whether he doesn't wear the armband or not. I think it's very obvious that the guy is a real influence in the squad. And as well, I just feel like, it's finally maybe a bit of respect that he probably deserves. I feel like there was a moment when, while things were obviously going very poor for us, we kind of start to maybe kind of rip into, I might say, maybe lack of a better term, into our better players. And, like that, when we kind of were doing that with Højbjerg and, and to a degree, even other players in the squad, it felt, there's a pecking order. There are players that have deserved respect, have deserved credit. And I think Højbjerg is one of them, did it tonight. And I love that comment, Philip, where there's really no goalkeeper, in the Premier League that could have stopped that. Yeah, and honestly, as well, like David is maybe here, he's joining us. He couldn't stay away. He couldn't stay away while he's with the misses.
I knew he would.
Philip called it already. But like David is saying in the chat, everybody, it's just Philip and I tonight. It's me controlling the comments, at the moment. So it's hard to keep up at times. If you want Philip or I to stop at any moment, please, please, please send in a super chat so we can discuss your comments, discuss your thoughts. Of course, grab that membership as well. Doing the fan show tomorrow. It is going to be at, I believe, probably 9, maybe half 9. But nowadays, there's so many members. We want to go as long as we can for you guys, especially. So really, we just want to have everybody on the fan show. So if you want to join us for that, please, 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 it's going to be your soapbox. It's going to be your area to just, tell David or I what you're thinking. We don't really need to ask you too many questions because I know plenty of you guys have plenty to say. It's just it's your 20 minutes, and believe that. And we'd just be happy to be there for you. I think last time we brought on like 15 or so people on. It was just honestly incredible. We went on for an absolute marathon. And I would say I really did enjoy it as much as I actually wanted to keep going. But, I actually had a special carbonara I had to make last time. But I promise that this time I will be able to stay the whole time. I do promise that. But everybody, please grab those memberships. Please throw in a super chat if you want Philip or I to stop at any moment. And as well, please smash that like button if you do enjoy this player rating so far. Højbjerg, I think there's nothing else to say. Like Philip said, there really is nothing else to say. The guy is immense. I do agree, especially with Carlos H, who I think is a very reasonable guy. I love that he even went for the 9 as well. So there you are. This one will be an interesting one. Because, again, I am a bit of a Tanguy apologist. I probably feel like I'm being way too nice with the 7. I thought the guy was actually quite poor today. He gave the ball away too many times. He was being dispossessed, way too often. Of course, we see the skills and the talent and whatnot, and it comes in flashes, but it just felt like tonight it was just kind of missing. Of course, he had that sensational run into the box where he had that great shot on goal. But apart from that, there were moments where he was really, really frustrating. Even his final ball was up and missing a bit of a bit of, pace on it. It just felt like it wasn't, maybe the best of Tanguy that we could probably see. So that's why I'm not going to be too generous to him, because I know he can produce a lot better, Philip.
Yeah, just to revert, just quickly back to Højbjerg, just for 1 second, Jack. That comment where he said it was acceptable, that is pure genius, saying a word like that. He could have easily, a lot of other players would have come out there and said, oh, we were fantastic, a great win today. He knows there's a lot more work to be done. And he's sending a message to the rest of the players. That was acceptable, lads, but we want better next week.
It has to be
There's
repeated.
a message in there. He wasn't getting carried away with the win. He says, listen, we've done better than we have been doing. There's a lot more we can do. Next week, we want to be better. The week after that, we want to be better than that. And that's his way of telling the rest of the team, that was acceptable, lads, but let's do better. Anyway, talking about doing better, move on to Tanguy.
Great segue.
Yeah, I have to say, I did expect Lo Celso to start today. Tanguy had a couple of brilliant moments in the game. That run you mentioned in the shot, that was typical Tanguy, brilliant. But the problem is he goes missing too often.
Really missing, like disappearing almost.
On the pitch, you know he's there, but you can't see him. He's just not getting involved enough. And until he does that, he is going to, he's going to struggle. I mean, we keep hoping that this is the match he comes of age this season. Today was a partial success for him. It was better than it's been gone before, but I don't think we've seen what he can do by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. And whether he's the man to play in a tough away match at Newcastle the next time, I just don't know. I just fear that is the price tag sitting too heavily on his head? Is he missing Serge Aurier and Sissoko? You don't know. There's something going on there. He should be purring, and he's not. He's stuttering. He's like a car with got dirty petrol. He's stuttering along. He's getting there in the end, but he's not doing the business like he should be, So, I hope the guy's a success. I really, really do. But as each match goes on, he's got to start proving that he's a better player than he's showing us at the moment.
Yeah, I think, Philip, that's really well said. And I know the majority of the Harris Army would agree with that. I really know they would. And, I have to agree with that as well. I probably see him weirdly starting actually in the next match, against Villa. Of course, a lot of people say he's given so many opportunities, but maybe we saw tonight that, it's not a coincidence that, with the Tanguy playing in that position, by no means do I think Tanguy did anything, too remarkable. But, with Dele not playing in that position anymore, we got the win that we needed. And it just maybe says a lot about, to a degree, whatever position that Nuno wants from somebody in that position. Tanguy didn't have the best of matches, but he probably was doing more or less what, Nuno wants from him in that position. And I think actually Gio, he came on and was really sensational. I thought he actually probably deserved a goal. I thought he was going to smash it home. I mean, he had all the time in the world to smash it home, and he decided to, still hit it on the floor. He then could probably say that Gio maybe deserves still a start. I thought to a degree did deserve a start, but it's good to maybe get back to a degree the Jose era where, Tanguy and Gio are kind of competing in the same position, kind of competing for the same role. And I think that only to a degree would probably bring the best out of Tanguy or the best out of Gio, whichever one. And seeing them actually, sub on for each other, especially in maybe the case of Tanguy, when Gio just needs to come on a lot sooner, 50th minute, 60th minute, you might say. But we just saw with Gio, like he is a brilliant player to come on and, kind of just bring something a bit different from Tanguy, but still more of the same, but offers a lot more work rate, offers a lot more kind of composure on the ball to a degree, doesn't try to do too much like Tanguy does sometimes. And I just, I agree with you. And I know a lot of the Harris Army would, where they want to see the likes of Gio be played a lot more. Also, just be given maybe that role that, practically he's been asking for a long time. He's been playing in a lot of different positions. And, I think in Gio's case, he just needs to, be played in the right position, and we'll probably see the best from him.
Right. Hopefully now. I say it could be a bit of an in and out with these two, going from one to the other, depending on the match who we're playing. But as long as we win.
Moving on to our man of the match, and any of the fans in the Korean audience, I did kind of troll Philip here in this scenario. He gave me his player ratings. He went for the 9.5 as well. But yeah, I just decided because he also gave me an 11, and I decided to do that. And I think he was the man of the match. It just speaks to him being the man of the match and everybody. Philip did go for a 9.5, just to make it clear. He did go for the 9.5 as well. I thought Sonny did, again, he couldn't really have put a foot wrong. Maybe he could have finished one or two chances. that was probably lacking. And he even was, kind of beating himself up for it, which is, just speaks to the type of professional that he is. But the way that he was able to take the game by the scruff of the neck, I mean, so instantly just drove at his defender and just put, again, those beautiful balls across the six with that left peg of his. And just he's just so versatile with either foot. Philip, it really is incredible. I think that's something about his game that we just never give enough respect, is how brilliant he is with his other feet. And a lot of us say, professional footballers are supposed to be, fantastic with, both feet. It's not really exactly the case. Like, there are only so many players that really are at Sonny's level in that regard. And I just feel like Sonny, it's just he puts the team on his shoulders, put the team on his back, and is honestly, I even called him during the watch along, he is Mr. Clutch.
Yeah, I mean, if you cut one of Sonny's veins, it's Spurs blood that will come out. He lives. He is Spurs through and through. Absolutely, he is rightly idolized at the club. I mean, the guy is just. It's hard to find fault with him. He's such a model professional as well. You never hear Sonny involved in a late night scandal in a nightclub or getting involved with some model he shouldn't be getting involved with. Mind you, I think his dad would probably kill him if he did. But anyway,
probably gets in trouble for going to bed too early, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd say he's probably told to go to bed at 9:30. It's past his bedtime, But that cross that he put in for the goal, which I am still crediting to Lucas Moura. I don't know how they've given that as an own goal to Matt Targett. That cross was undefendable. Absolutely undefendable. There is no defense on earth that would not have conceded from that cross. It was just sublime, and he is incredible. I mean, I just can't speak highly enough for this guy. I just think he is. Well, last season we had the Kane and Son show. This season it's a double act that only one of them has turned up so far. Now the other one will turn up, but until he does, Son is keeping the show on the road, and he is really, really. Words fail me. The guy is just so good.
He's perfect, and it's like you said, you cut his veins, see the blue and white blood come out, and then as well, you just look at him and the way that he plays for us, and when he shows up and the way that he does, he's just perfect. He really is just perfect. But moving on, everybody. We are going on to Harry Kane. And again, please feel free to, disagree with me in the comments on this one. Again, I recognize how generous I'm being. It's just kind of in my nature, especially post-win, especially how much David and I do talk about Spurs. I just need to get a bit of that relief from it. But I feel like everybody's well in their own right to be much more realistic about this. And I think Philip's rating here is exactly that. And you gave him a 7, Philip. And I thought, he was able to link up play in beautiful ways. He didn't take his chances, yet again, but I just feel like, again, he will get that goal, and he's still able to show that world-class ability. Yet again, I would agree with a lot of people that, we do have to look at it also with that Harry Kane lens, where we know that we could see a bit better from him. It's still a world-class striker at the end of the day for me. It really is still a world-class striker. And so that's why I would give him such a high rating, but I really don't believe in it. I probably, if I were being really realistic and, just being a bit more kind of level-headed about it, I would probably give him a 7 like Philip did. But Philip, why did you give him a 7?
It's like, I had high hopes for Harry today. I predicted a 1-0 win with Harry to score. Now, he didn't score. Probably if you put him in a time machine, took him back to this time last season, he would have had at least 2 goals today. The one where he was through on the goalkeeper, he would have dinked it over him last season. And he had the one incredible effort, which, the goalkeeper clawed out of the air that would have sailed over his head into the back of the net. He is getting there. It's taking longer than we all hoped it would. His head is still obviously affected by the Man City scenario, the debacle that his idiot brother put him in, and Levy between them. But he will. Like, it's a bit like keep going back and saying such and such a player is going to come good and Dombele is going to come good. We know Harry Kane will come good. It's just a matter of when. I thought it would be today. Hopefully now he doesn't get injured in the international break. This bloody international break's coming in here at the wrong time again. We're going to have how many players sailing off around the world, and you can be sure some of them are going to come back injured. We had very bad luck the last time between players going missing and players getting injured. Like, we haven't seen Bergwijn hardly since, since. So anyway, back to Harry. Harry will get there, and Harry will start banging in the goals. His head is probably only 90% at the club at the minute. We need to get that extra 10% back into him to get him back to where he was and what he's going to be. He's got a lot of catching up to do in the Golden Boot. Salah's scoring goals for fun for Liverpool. Harry got to start registering soon. And the only reason I gave him a 7 today was it's going to have a 7, could do better, pretty good, but could do better. It's like a school report, and he will get there. He will get there, and we'll all be singing his praises again shortly. But would have been nice for him to score today.
Would have been very, very nice, and he definitely deserved it. But he still makes up for it, and other ways when he doesn't get that goal, when he doesn't put that chance away. There's probably no harsher critic to himself. That's like there really is. Like you could see how hard he takes it when he doesn't finish it. He really does know, when he does rue, chances missed, but he still makes up for it in so many other ways. And plenty of people would agree with that. Kaguma here saying, Sonny, we love you and thank you. Like I said, Kaguma, it's like holding up, just something like a work of art, and you're like, it's perfect. He's perfect. He's just, there's not a flaw in him for me. There really isn't. There is no flaw with Sonny, and especially this season. I just think he's been absolutely immense for us, been absolutely immense. And Kaguma as well. I really do appreciate all the support as well in the show tonight. Really do appreciate you as well for tuning in for the watch along, and also really do appreciate giving your thoughts and input on all of this. And again, for all the continued support. And I just do think that he is perfect, and I'm falling in love with Sonny. Like maybe plenty already have, maybe I'm a bit more of a late bloomer in that aspect. Always loved Sonny, but doing it again, it's like falling back in love with somebody, you might say. Brave Bald here with a super chat saying Sonny does carry Spurs, or Sonny carrying Spurs. Really, I said he put the team on his shoulders, and he's done it multiple times this season, in my opinion, where he's just able to find a way to just take the game by the scruff of the neck. Even in the Arsenal match, where he felt like the only guy that was still driving at his defender, driving at his players, and trying to make something happen when nothing could be made. And I just feel like he has strong moral character. He has a strong personality that I think rubs off on other players. We even saw today. It's just more of a leader than, maybe other fans would give him credit for. I think he's even to a degree taking away a bit of that leadership from Harry Kane, being a bit better influence potentially in the squad. And I just, feel like with Sonny, he absolutely does carry this team, especially in matches when we really do need him. He is, again, like I said, brave, bald, Mr. Clutch for me. I mean, how do you feel about it? Is he kind of starting to a degree kind of carrying the squad if he wasn't already?
Well, I mean, put it like this, I'd hate to go into a match like today without him in the side.
Yeah.
And if Sonny gets injured before Harry Kane starts firing again, we've got problems up front. Because we really don't have anybody else. Dane Scarlett probably hasn't, good wee player that he is, he needs to bang in a goal or two, even in the conference, just to get him started, really. So Son is injured. At the moment, Son would be the biggest worry I would have going away in international duty this week. If he comes back with an injury, we do have a serious issue, because he is, for a small man, he's got huge shoulders.
Certainly does have huge shoulders. And also, I will say, even like a lot of these players, maybe it's the training method. I feel like he's kind of bulked up, kind of again, this season to a degree. But maybe I might just be, looking at, how tight, some of the shirts are this season on some of the players. But Brave Bald, really do appreciate you. And also, again, really anybody that wants us to stop at any moment, we are going to be going to our last player of the evening, which is going to be Lucas Moura. If you want to throw in a super chat or grab your memberships, now is the chance. And, if you need us to stop at any moment, to discuss your comments, discuss your thoughts, discuss your input, please feel free to put in a super chat. And as well, the fan show will be tomorrow night. We will just go on as long as you guys need us. We want to know what you guys have to say about this match, want to continue to ride the vibes, continue to ride the waves of this, positivity. And as well, you are practically speaking to the positivity cult here in that regard. So, that's probably why even these player ratings are so high. But everybody, really do appreciate you all for tuning in for the watch along and tuning in for this show as well. Aaron Dubb saying, welcome, Brave Bald. Always great to have Koreans in the chat, and the Harris Army. Again, welcome, Brave Bald. Do appreciate you. Hopefully you're able to drop that subscribe button, that shiny red button down below, and maybe even join us for the fan show as well. But like Aaron Dub is, welcoming you. It's probably the most welcoming YouTube army, you might say. It's very friendly here. You can find lots of friends in the chat, and there's no better place to be, especially if you are just continuing to try to ride out maybe this win and try to ride out the positivity from this last performance. And really do appreciate you, Brave Bald, as well as Aaron Dub, for, again, giving us the continued support that you do, Aaron Dub. Really do appreciate you. And as well, Aaron Dub, I love those images that you sent me regarding, how he's able to turn a $1 ramen into a $13 ramen in the ways that I describe. Could do it even better than me. And Aaron Dub, big yourself up, really big yourself up. And as well, thank you for welcoming in Brave Bald with such a kind welcome. Really do appreciate it as well. Moving on to our last player of the evening, everybody. It is going to be Lucas Moura. Both gave him 8s. I think what Philip was saying is kind of something I really agree with. Don't know how he wasn't credited for the goal. Really don't know how he wasn't credited for it. Let me bring it up here. Apologize. Don't know why. I really don't know. Understand how he isn't given that goal, Philip. Like I swear I witnessed it go off his foot. I swear I witnessed it go off his foot and they just don't want to give it to him. Maybe they'll make a bit of a correction. Maybe after they watch the highlights, whoever did that, it just felt like, Lucas, maybe not the best performance we've ever seen from the guy, but at the same time, the way he's able to cut inside with his right foot, which is a very unique ability, in my opinion. There are most players that do that with the left foot, being inverted wingers. He's able to do that being a right-footed player, and the way he does it as well, I think, is just so incredibly cool to watch. It's unique. It's unique for me. But I mean, what do you think about Lucas's performance? Just a hard worker, just a solid player for us usually?
No, he's a guy who can provide the spark. Imagine the defendant seeing this guy running at you with the ball glued to his feet, No, he's a great little player to have in the squad. Okay, his end pass sometimes is a bit astray. But, I mean, let's face it, I don't think anybody could really say a bad word about Lucas Moura after the night in May 2019 in Amsterdam. Really, you could not. I mean, he wrote himself into...
There's no better performance by any player practically ever.
He wrote himself into Tottenham history that night. I mean, I'd always, if he never played for us again, I would bow down and thank him for that night in particular, But my thoughts on the goal there, I really think Daniel Levy has got an arrangement with a doubtful goals committee. Lucas is probably on a goal bonus, and he had a phone call. He says, don't give it to him. I can't afford to pay him the bonus. So, but no, I don't know. It looked to me like if the ball hit Lucas's foot and went in. I don't know how that was credited as an own goal. Why not encourage attack and play and give it to the attacker? No defender wants to be saddled with an own goal. So he won't mind if it's given to Lucas Moura. He'd be delighted.
Yeah.
But that's not the way it is, unfortunately. But it robbed him of a. But again, I'll go back to the cross from Son. Undefendable, absolutely undefendable.
There it is, everyone. And I couldn't say very much better about myself when it comes to Lucas. So unless anybody, has any maybe final comments of any sort, or, again, want to grab that membership now. It was supposed to be a pretty short show for us. I feel like, we finished right on time. We need to go to bed early, especially with maybe such a long week, as well. And, again, we're riding into the international break. Please just continue to ride this wave of 3 points into the fan show tomorrow. Again, it will probably be at around 9, half 9 maybe, but we would love to have every single one of you for it. Especially, we want to be able to be there for all of you and just stay as long as you guys need. And it's just been a nice player ratings for this one, Philip. And I really appreciate you joining me. And as well, David, it felt like, he needed the night off, but I couldn't stop thinking about the Spurs today.
Listen, if I could just say something, it's on a personal basis, actually. My son-in-law won the Belfast Marathon today in the time of 2:20. I think he might be watching tonight. So Mick Clohessy, big up.
What a time as well.
Yeah, well, he's done quicker. Like he did run for Ireland in the Olympics in Rio in the marathon, but he won it today now, and it was a great, fantastic performance. And big up to Mick. And I'm trying to convince him to become a Spurs fan. So if he's watching, you know what to do, Mick.
Well, there you go. And also, Nick, I would just say, you're probably plenty training all the time, clearly as the athlete that you are. So maybe you can just, use Spurs as a bit of a motivation for yourself, to know that, what not to, you know, just that's actually, I'm actually startled by that time as well, Philip.
Yeah,
That guy is lightning. He is lightning.
yeah.
That's
He's,
ridiculous. That is
I think he's done
ridiculous.
2:14. I think is his fastest. So
That's honestly stupid. That is stupid. I just wow. I wouldn't even want to see how he does a, you know, a 5K. He's
oh,
just
you want to
probably
see him
sprinting the
training?
whole thing. He's probably sprinting the whole thing. Wow,
It's
that
scary
is
watching him train.
Tongi could take a page out of his book. I'll tell you
I
that.
was going to
Tongi
say
could take a page out of his
he
book.
actually he trains would-be athletes. You know, that's his job. So because I maybe give him Tongi's phone number, he'd give him a ring.
I don't know, man. That'll be an expensive client. He'll have to keep a lot of attention towards him for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And
Anyway, that's it.
Zanuska,
I'll get that one.
big up, Nick. Really, actually, congratulations. Like I said, I'm actually quite startled by that time. That is, you are absolute lightning. I can tell you're absolute lightning. Zanuska saying, thank you for a great stream. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. And come on, you Flat Cap Army. Zanuska, really do appreciate you and all the support that you give this channel. And as well as our sister channel, Flat Cap Euro Talk. Again, anybody that might not be a Spurs fan or also is a Spurs fan and just wants to continue to see David or I provide content, maybe with stuff a bit outside of Spurs as well, maybe talk about, you know, the likes of Erling Haaland or, you know, just whatever's going on outside of Europe, please head on over to our second channel. It's called Flat Cap Euro Talk. It's really would appreciate it. You know, we just hit, I think, close to 350 subscribers over there in such a short span of time. It's really been ridiculous. We're doing match reactions kind of scout reports with a bit of highlight reactions. The Lee Kong In video or the Kong In Lee video did absolutely incredible. And I had so much fun making it as well. It really is appreciative of all the support people like Zanuska give. So really would appreciate everybody heading on over that channel. But Zanuska, I really do appreciate you as well for all the support that you give this channel and appreciate you giving your time to us as well, considering that you do a lot of service work also outside of, you know, your daily life as well. So Zanuska, really do appreciate that you found a home here in the Harris Army and appreciate you, you know, finding this channel as well. So Zanuska, like always, really do appreciate you. Really do appreciate it and hope to see you soon, maybe for the next scout report as well. And, you know, maybe during this international break, I might try to do maybe a good watch along, maybe something that doesn't include the Ireland game. Maybe, David maybe suffers through that and maybe Philip as well. But really do appreciate everything that you've done for us so far, Zanuska. Again, really do appreciate it. Brian C saying, lads, that's close to our best 11 is that close to our best 11 with 4-2-3-1. Maybe Roden or for Dyer, Tanganga backup for Emerson Royale, and center backs Hill and Lo Celso pushing in Dombele, Skip and Højbjerg, and double pivot all day long. Before I pass this on to Philip, I think we'd like to still see Tanganga be fit into the squad. Is it maybe kind of crazy to put Tanganga and Romero together in a back four? Potentially not. There might be a bit of a height issue there, you know, to a degree, but I think Tanganga still is plenty decent in the air. He's actually quite ridiculous in the air at times, you know, the way he can just win a header.
Yeah.
I would also say, you know, I think we should still continue to try to play Tanganga as much as we can because I do think he's an absolute talent, an absolute sensational talent. Emerson Royale, I think he built on a fantastic performance tonight, and I would like to see more of him. It's always good competition now at fullback, you know, hopefully. But what do you feel like? I mean, is the 4-2-3-1 a must now, Philip?
Yeah, probably most games anyway. Most games, and like Tanganga, it's great to have competition now. And that I'm going to put him in the right back slot for now. I mean, we've got competition at right back. We've got competition at centre back. So and we don't really have competition at left back because I'm not classing Ben Davis as competition for Regulon. But
I don't think he's competition for much anymore.
No. I suppose somebody been sending him a get well slowly card from his appendix operation. Tanganga. I mean, Tanganga's a future in another like Skip, another England international of the future. You know, like it's going to be a good battle between him and Royale. Emerson to see who gets the right back slot. You know, I mean, this is what we need: competition. Nobody getting complacent. You know, and there again, he can also slot into the centre backs position, providing maybe somebody gets injured, maybe Sanchez gets injured, Rodon gets injured. So like it's good to have the competition, and we've maybe had too many seasons where. Like I'm not even including Matt Doherty in that. I don't even rate him now as a competition for right back.
I don't know what a Matt Doherty is anymore, Philip. I'm sorry.
You know,
I don't
I
know what he
really
is.
think that he could be on the way out of the club in January if anybody will buy him. You know,
Yeah.
maybe go out on loan to somebody. But
Yeah.
no, I think that the boys that Brian C has mentioned there are very, very competitive, young, hungry, hopefully, players that can do the
Mm,
job for us and play to their ability, knowing there's somebody on their shoulder waiting to come in if they don't.
mm. Well said,
You know.
Philip. Well said. And Brian C, I think everyone in the Harris Army agrees with you in this scenario, but as well, Brian C, the Socrates to the Harris Army, the philosopher of the Harris Army, today is finally a scenario where, we can just win, but we can still continue to learn, Brian C. We can still continue to learn from, a match like this. I think the 4-2-3-1 is the way to go. It's the way to go from here on out. I think it just showed today. The problem is, can we do that? With the likes of, because it seems like Skippy and Højbjerg are really the only two options in that pivot, midfield. Maybe Gio can do a job down there and, put Tanguy a bit further forward and keep him up there. But we're going to have to find a way to, hopefully best manage the likes of Højbjerg and Skippy. And, but it just seemed like for the Premier League, the 4-2-3-1, it's in our roots. It's what we need to do. Potentially, actually, Brian Hill, needs to make more of a shift towards also the middle of the park and maybe put in a few solid performances there, whether he's going to be given the opportunity or not. But Brian C, I know everybody agrees with you. This is absolutely, the kind of competition that we're looking for, the kind of choices that we're looking for. And as well, we want to see the 4-2-3-1. It is in our roots. And I've been absolutely convinced by that. And as well, Brian C, really big up for the support. And he's back here again saying, thanks for the great content all week, lads. Keeping us going after a tough last weekend. We will enjoy today. Onwards and upwards. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Brian C. It's been a bit of an exhausting week to a degree, a bit of a hard week, I must admit. It's by no means, it's the best job in the world doing this kind of content with David, but at the same time, sometimes does take a toll on you, how much you do see, the club, falling, out of sorts, the recency bias that we can always have, especially even me. Last week I was at an entirely different face, after our last performance. And it is actually the sort of relief, the sort of therapy that I really did need. And I just honestly hope we continue to build on it because, these are small victories, but we need to start getting, kind of churning these up a bit more and just being a bit more consistent. And Brian C, it seemed like Højbjerg was giving a bit of an answer that you would probably give, a very philosophical answer, in the sense that he was saying it was acceptable, this kind of performance. And I think that's probably what you would have said if you were in Højbjerg's shoes as well. Brian C, this is exactly what we needed, but we need to build on this and we need to continue onwards and upwards, as you said. But really big yourself up, Brian C. And as well, I would just say, everybody, that's going to be the end of it tonight, everybody. Philip, I really do appreciate you coming on. We were able to marshal this ourselves, be able to take on these player ratings. I do apologize, for being so kind to some of these players sometimes, Philip. And, you're a bit more of a level-headed one, I feel like, in this case. But like I said, I'm just riding the wind and probably letting that kind of corrupt me. But Philip, I know you have an upcoming show with us, very soon. Is there anything that you would like to plug, or anything that, you would just maybe be looking forward to, or just maybe anything to say to the Harris Army?
Well, the legendary Ellie and myself are putting together a show. It's a miscellaneous mishmash of all things Tottenham, really.
Right.
History of the club, what Spurs did during the two world wars, the relationship with
Right.
Arsenal, the 51 title winning team, cameos of what players did after they left Spurs, stuff like that. It'll give people an insight as to what happened to Spurs way back in the day, and the heroes that started our club, and the things that went on. Maybe that some people might be aware of, some people mightn't be. And it's going to be good fun. It's going to be great fun. It's going to be light. It's going to be like we were hoping it wasn't going to be a bit of therapy after another defeat today. So thank God we've avoided that. So it's coming out fairly soon now, and I know Ellie's looking forward. I certainly am, and there'll be a few episodes of it. We don't know quite how many yet. It depends how much stuff we can dig up. And look out for it, and we hope you enjoy it.
Appreciate that, Philip. And as well, please keep an eye out for that one. It's, as well, we have someone, kind of that's been helping David and I a lot out on kind of the technical side of things, and also will be integrated into a lot of our shows as well. And we're going to try to also maybe make shows like this a bit more kind of documentary style, you might say, as well. And, please, everybody, continue to give Philip this support, because Philip is absolutely cherished by David and I. We really do depend on him for a lot. And, he's just gives the best analogies, the best metaphors, and as well as the best kind of speeches sometimes to some of these players, to this team, to this manager. And we really do appreciate Philip here. And I know the Harris Army does as well. Kuva99 not letting us go. And we do appreciate that, Kuva. I mean, we'll continue to go. We'll continue to go as long as you guys want us to stay. And he's Kuva99 is saying it's been a rough few weeks, but we're back on track now and definitely winning the quadruple. Come on, you Spurs. Greatest team on the planet Earth. I love it. I absolutely love it. And also a bit of stick to the gunners as well.
That's class. I mean, my God, that's enthusiasm. That's positivity that way and above the Call of Duty. I think if we win the quadruple, oh God, if we win anything, never mind the quadruple.
I don't think there wouldn't be anything left to win, Kuva. There wouldn't be anything left to win.
Last 6 months, But no, listen, Jack, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on. I love this channel. It's great that we have an outlet to talk things Spurs. Where I'm living now, there's not many Spurs fans, so I'm on my own. So this is a great therapy for me.
Yeah, it certainly is the case for me as well, where I am a bit in my lonesome about it. But again, everybody, I will be over in London March time, to be able to watch, the Hammers maybe blow bubbles, maybe the other direction while we beat them 3-0. And also as well, I really do hope that, everybody did enjoy this player ratings tonight. I really do hope that everybody has a good night as well. Just maybe dreams of some of the, the goals, even maybe some of the goals that we could have scored, because there were a fair few sitters as well. But Kuva99, this is the type of positivity that you only get at this channel. It is the perfect kind of positivity, if you ask me, because I love to write off these wins. I love to get a bit delusional, especially, me. Maybe even saw that with the player ratings as well. But Kuva99, as always, do appreciate you, because you really do show this channel a lot of support, as well as the Nuska, as well as Gaguma, and everyone else that, has given today. Aaron Dubb, really do appreciate you, all of the support. You don't know how much it helps David and I, with the super chats and whatnot. It is kind of what we do kind of depend on at the moment. It's what we continue to try to use to, kind of fund this channel and whatnot. So we do appreciate everybody that gives to us, but also we try to also just include everybody in this channel as much as we can. And, even people like Philip, are kind of products of the Harris Army, and it's the greatest, it's the strongest, it's the most intelligent army and fan base, I would say, of the Spurs YouTube family. So really, again, people like Kuva, really do appreciate you. Really do appreciate it. And also as well, Kuva does kind of compete with Chris, I would say now, kind of in terms of the comedian of the Harris Army. Probably Chris might say, he's probably looking behind his shoulder a little bit in that regard. But Kuva, really do appreciate you. I really do. And also everybody, I think that'll probably be it for tonight. Philip will be ending it off tonight I'll be ending it off tonight. It's supposed to be a bit of a shorter show, and I think we have now been able to, make time at least to what I expected. But that'll be all for tonight. Come on, you Spurs. And Nuno we trust. Exactly. Now Nuno we slightly trust as well, but and Nuno we trust. And Nuno we trust. Come on, you Spurs.